And we should be live. Good evening, everybody. Tonight we've got a slightly bigger panel. We've got Andy from Elemental Encounters, Claire from, I can never remember it,
Interior Elemental Witch.
Elemental Witch, and we've got Sam from Life After Life TV Productions, and she's took the TV off just to confuse me. Tonight we're just going to be doing funny paranormal stories that have either occurred with us or ones we've heard of. It's just going to be a bit of a kickback session, a bit of a laugh. So who wants to kick off with their very first funny paranormal story? Andy, Claire or Sam? Shout out one of you.
Right, then I will.
Go on then.
I'm going to tell this everybody because it baffles me because it's still happening. It's still happening as of now, all the time. And Andy knows about this. But it only happens with string.
Right.
Or wool. I've noticed. Or, you know, your cross-stitch material.
Yeah.
Or it happens with that, right?
Yeah.
I've got no lady garden because I wax.
Right. Thanks for that.
If you're missing any of those items, I guarantee you there's a hell of a lot that goes missing. Andy, where does it turn up, Andy? Where does it turn up when it goes missing? It does every time. Every time it's on my lady, it's down my pants. It's in that area. Every time it can be 2 hours, 6 hours later. But it ends up, and I don't know how. I don't know why. Unless they're saying go somewhere. I'm not sure. I don't know.
So what happens if it's on a cotton reel? Does the cotton reel appear there as well?
Oh yeah, even with a needle. Even with a needle.
Jesus Christ, Claire.
Oh, it's weird. It's so weird. It's like, look, leave me alone. Oh my God. Oh no.
I discovered it. That was the worst part.
1 second.
Brett.
I was pulling a piece of string out of my teeth thinking, where's this come from?
It'll bring an old man into dental floss.
Everybody. Leave up, so that means it's coming out. I'm serious.
Oh, God, you look like a reject from ABBA.
Wait till you see this.
You're all mean and bully.
Oh, God, you can see just how this stream is going to go tonight. Tell him he's got to leave them on the entire stream. He can't take them off.
No, it's off now. My favourite fucking outfit.
I'm going to choke to death now. Right, Andy, have you got any funny stories? You're going to find it hard to top that one.
Well, no. I'll let Sam go first. Go on, Sam. Sam,
one of yours.
All right. We are going to end up talking about the cow, aren't we?
Yeah.
Yeah. For those of you that haven't seen the video, before I started paranormal investigating, I done abandoned exploring, but I was interested in the paranormal. So there's this abandoned mansion in Letterkenny, and there is 2 gatehouses to it. One of them is a bar. The other one is it's abandoned. It's a wreck. Right. So in order to do the house, I decided I would go around and do the whole story. So I started off at the gatehouse, the abandoned gatehouse, and When I walked into the hallway, I thought everything was grand until a cow's head peeped out of the sitting room door. And I turned around and I legged it when I seen this big, huge cow running up the flipping. Yeah.
It actually chased you out the house, didn't it? And charged out into the garden.
It panicked him and he went into one of the rooms with the wooden floor. And I thought, gee, this cow's going to go out through the floor and that. And I ran out anyway. And I was panicking, like. And there was a little toilet or something just at the porch.
Yeah.
And I dived in there as it was going past. And all I could see is this big, massive cow flying out the door. Like, if that was nighttime, I would have scared the living daylights out of me. Big time.
I've got to be honest. That would have made me run. Had it been night and all you'd have seen was two glowing eyes and this huge bulk of body in a room, I think I'd have done the same.
Yeah, God.
Oh yeah, I would have turned around and says, "I quit, folks. I can't do this. No way."
Oh God! Right, Andy. I've been told in the chat by Anne to ask you about the drone video.
Oh no!
Oh
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, all right. And so a couple of years ago now, a friend of mine says, "Oh, I'm going to fetch my dad's drone and we're going to take some aerial shots for your intro on that." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, cool, try that, you know." So we gets down there. There's a live stream. It was at Stone Circle that we did at Samhain, you know. And I thought, oh, this is going to look brilliant, you know, some aerial shots of it flying over bloody Stone Circle and stuff. So it's like, yeah, you do it first. So I get on it, woof, straight up, you know. I'm like, hey, this is not too bad. Crashed it a few times, and that as you do, you know. Anyway, text it up. Next thing I know, this gust of bloody wind takes it, doesn't it? Woof, straight into the top of the oak tree next to it. Anyway, my mate Nick, straight up tree, like a bloody gorilla. Shaking tree like bloody, you know, like proper like a monkey, and caught it in midair and rescued it. But yeah, it's I got known as like, what were it now? Bloody don't fly elemental encounters, bloody airline service for months. But yeah,
a lot of people don't realise how difficult they are to control drones, especially if you've got one as well, Sam, ain't you?
Yeah, I've used it once. It was the most terrifying thing ever.
Yeah,
I
ain't really used it on my channel yet.
It went straight up until I couldn't see it. I mean, like the drone is white. When they go, I'm looking up and I'm saying, where is it like? You know? And it must have went up so far that it just lost signal and started dropping down and that. And the only thing I could do was press home because I couldn't see the flipping thing. I wouldn't mind this was on a beach as well. So I was waiting for it to ditch in the sea. Mm-hmm. It ditched about a half a mile away in the middle of a field, and there was sheep, and it landed perfect. But the sheep, when I got to the field, the sheep were running crazy around the place. Do you know?
Oh, you've got some interest here, Lee. Jace wants to know if you got that outfit in pink.
Sorry, Jace. It's my outfit.
I'll have to shave my legs next time.
I'll wax him. I waxed his legs. He's lying. I waxed his legs. He's a liar.
That's painful. That is painful.
Oh,
right.
Yeah. He does a lot.
I'll tell you my funniest one, and I always tell this one, and it actually concerned Jace when we went to Convict Bridge. We went to Wombwell Woods for there's two stories with Jace on Convict Bridge, but the first one was when we first got there. We got to the bridge, and as you know, when you get to an investigation, you're setting up. So I'm setting up the equipment, and while I'm setting up the equipment, I'm telling Jace about the history of the bridge. And I said, it's actually known here that there's a poltergeist that throws pebbles at you. So I went up this bank, and this bank up the side of the bridge to get up to the top is really, really steep. So I managed to get up. I had a look round, and I come down. And then Jace, for some reason, suddenly decides he wants to go up and look. Now, people who don't know Jace, he's probably one of the most clumsiest people I have ever met. literally. He goes up this hill on his hands and knees, practically. I kid you not, climbing up this bank. It must have took him 3 minutes to get up on top of this bridge. So he's up in the bridge and I can't see him. And I can hear him shouting down to me, yabble, 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 talking to me. And then me being me suddenly had an evil thought. So I picked up this pebble that I could see and I threw it up onto the top of the bridge so it would bounce off the wall. All I heard was this massive shriek. Next thing I know, he come flying down. I kid you not, he came down this bank like a goat on speed. I kid you not. And he was going that fast at the bottom. There's a barbed wire fence. And he couldn't stop and he had to grab a tree trunk as he went past and he just whipped around the tree trunk. To stop himself flying over the barbed wire fence. Honestly, I really wish I'd have recorded it, but we were literally in the process of setting up the filming at the convict bridge. I've never, ever seen him move so fast over rough ground in my life. He's never put a foot wrong down that hill, and I kid not, it was like a 45-degree angle, and he never paused in stride all the way down here. Right, Sam, you got any more?
Yeah, there was one time I actually re-edited this video a couple of weeks ago. But it was in
the funny story about the cat tonight.
The which?
About the cat, the video you've done tonight, because that was quite funny. Do you want to tell everybody about the cat?
Oh yeah. I drove about 30 miles to get to this location. And the last time I was there was 8 years ago. And my friend had told me that the council closed this lovely picnic area. Now, when I get down there during the day and I get to the right spot, it's paradise. I mean, like, there's a huge waterfall. You could hear it in the video and that. But obviously, I was in the wrong part of it. But, I arrived down about 10 o'clock at night. It was no way anywhere near the way I seen it before.
Yeah.
So I kind of guessed where the original gate was. Climbed over the fence. Before that, I ran into this cat. There's a house up the road, and they must have this little cat. But this cat followed me everywhere. Went down into the woods anyway, down a steep hill, and me being me, ran out of breath to try and get back up. And it took me ages to find the fence that I climbed over originally. And it's a pity I turned off the camera because I was out of breath at this stage. I had hardly any energy left on me. But when I was climbing over the fence, did my foot slip? And the back of my trousers got caught on the fence. And I was left there dangling there, and the amount of swearing that came out of me.
My upcoming
Tell them about
similar one to that.
Oh yeah, I mean, like, the cat followed me everywhere. Went back to the picnic table, and the cat just everything I'd done, the cat was wondering what I was doing and all the rest of it, and even knocked over my camera. He broke the little. Do you know the little sort of shock thing?
Yeah.
You know, the microphone is all right, but it broke the shock thing and that.
Yeah.
But the title of the video is I got scratched, not clickbait, 100% real. But yeah, I did get scratched. He was climbing all over me and falling and grabbing onto me and everything.
Yeah.
But,
it's funny when you were going on about, I don't know how people and cruel to animals and them lovely, and then you turned around and went, "Don't you knock that effing camera over?"
Yeah.
Sam, was it hard not to pull faces as it was scratching you?
Huh?
Was it hard not to pull faces as it was scratching you?
Oh, big time! It's agony. There's nothing. Oh, damn you. Oh, that hurt. It really did. He fell off. He fell off the table and he decided to grab onto my leg on the way down. Oh.
No, how long did you do that in between the two streams?
Oh, fucking hell.
I'll send you that later, Sam, as a present.
Brilliant.
It might be global.
Someone, tell us your other story you were going to tell us before we got onto the cat.
Oh, yeah. This was way back when I started a band and exploring and that. Walk into this big size farmhouse, like, and it's abandoned and that. And I'm walking around the bottom floor and I'm showing people, you know, record players, full of record players and old tellies and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm walking into the kitchen, and you know, every so often you turn the camera towards yourself when you're talking to the viewers and stuff.
Yeah.
I turn the camera towards myself in the kitchen, and I start talking, and then I look in the background, and I says, that doesn't look right. What I didn't realize was there was this cupboard, right? This cupboard, like an old-fashioned farmhouse cupboard where you'd put your jams and your plates in the glass case and stuff. That cupboard was in the middle of the floor, holding up the floor from up above. And it was, you could see this big slant, and I was going, that doesn't look right. And I'm going, oh, shit. And me with my hand on the cupboard, I'm going, fucking hell. You know, all it took was for that cupboard to fall over. And because I went upstairs, and that actually particular room, the whole floor had gone down about 2 feet. Do you know? But that was a bit of a shock, actually, yeah.
The other one we had at Convict Bridge was with Jace again. And we'd started to film. Now, I was in the middle of doing a spirit box session with the PSP7, and all I could hear behind me was screeching, and I literally mean screeching. And I turned around, and Jace is running around like an orangutan with his hands up in the air like this because there's a bloody bat flitting around in and out of the bridge. That was bad enough. He did this for about 5 minutes, kept ducking, doing this all the while, and then a bird of prey decided to swoop through under the bridge, literally above his head. Honestly, he nearly went over the top of the bridge. We had to come down in the end, but I've never seen anything like the shrieks that was coming out of him was unbelievable. Bats, birds, mice, rats, you name it. You take him on an investigation, this is one of them. He's had it. Absolutely had it. But it was the way he kept bloody shrieking all the while I'm trying to do me spirit box session. It was really funny. There was a couple of instances that night when I really wished that I'd have been recording, you know, the bits and pieces that I missed with him, because I could have done a brilliant comedy video with him for that one. You got any more, Claire?
Not that doesn't involve me falling flat on my face.
Any funny stories you've heard involving the paranormal? It don't have to be you.
Well, I don't really involve paranormal as such. It's more like witch things, and there's always a time when you're doing a seance, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you ask for a sign, and the dog farts. That is always hilarious.
Yeah. I have that. Normally
is in the room, and you hear. It can sound like a growl. I was looking everywhere for a growl, mate. How
does that? I'll be in the middle of doing a stream or something, and all of a sudden you hear like a poop, and I'm thinking, what the fucking hell is that?
like
She's actually sitting beside of me, dropping them, and the stench that comes off her is absolutely unbelievable.
we're doing a seance, and it were our lassie. I mean, she's long gone now, our lassie.
Mhm.
And I swear it sounded like a growl. I was looking I was a wolf were going to come out of a cupboard or something, because I'm looking. I mean, I'm only young, and I'm looking everywhere. And my grandma's watching me, so she'll fight dog in a minute. She never said a word. Never said a word to me. Just let me find dog and say it was dog. Oh, my poor little face! I was so mortified. I'm like, why didn't you just tell me? Why have me looking all over for something that's not even in house or exist?
Yeah. Andy?
Yeah, I'm gonna reflect back to last Halloween night.
Right. Oh, God. Oh, yeah, go on.
So last Halloween we were all doing a ritual. There were like me, Becky, Brett, Jace, Jamie from Up Pendle, Ellen, Kat, and we'd all been like having some herbal tea and stuff, hadn't we? Becky's tea, and the night caught up with us, and we all started getting a bit giddy and daft. I mean, we had to. It was that cold. We had to try and entertain ourselves a little bit. Anyway, Cat seemed a little bit affected more than any rest on us that night, this marvelous thing happened where she walked. She walked.
She decided she was going to do a scream, didn't she?
She walked. Yeah, she was doing this live stream, and she walked over the top of this stick, and she must have caught it with her foot, and it kind of raised up at her leg, didn't it? And then she goes, what did she say now, Brett? There's a stick between my legs, and you are
between the legs. There's a stick between the legs in the middle of a live stream while we're doing the
legs. Anyway, then she decided to try and kick it away and did this Michael Jackson moonwalk backwards. And she just slid across ground perfectly backwards, didn't she?
And all while she was doing it, I was doing Native American. Whoa, 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 whoa. It looked like she was doing a powwow across the middle of the circle.
And then obviously, because we'd all took notice she was being really bizarre, we kind of went in for a closer look and ended up circling round her, didn't we? And Penny dropped, and she actually thought we were going to sacrifice her. Anyway, she started screeching and trying to run off.
I got absolutely paranoid. You're all surrounded, mate. Honestly,
paranoid that we were going to sacrifice her. Absolutely brilliant. But yeah, it was so funny.
But she kept insisting it was 2 or 3 times that I'd got a stick. Her words were, "I've got a stick wedged up between my legs."
That's it. I wedged up between my legs. Yeah.
When we kept telling her after what I'd said, she swore blind and said it was round her ankle, but she kept saying it was wedged up between her legs. But it was the moonwalk trying to get rid of it. It was really funny.
It killed me, that moonwalk. It was absolutely brilliant. It was so perfect. But if you can imagine Kat, right, dressed in this bright red bloody velvet with then airwalk sneakers on, doing this Michael Jackson bloody moonwalk.
Right, Sam. I've got a couple of yours that I can remember. Do you want to tell everybody about the first time you were experimenting with green screen?
Well, great. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I decided I would show off a piece of art I'd done a number of years ago. And it was one of the ladies in the Grand Theft Auto game. And she's sucking a lollipop. It was in the background, my green screen and that. And then, me and Brett were talking away. And then I discovered when I got up and moved across, the woman's mouth was open right at the microphone. Instead of sucking the lollipop, it was like she was sucking the microphone and that. And
it was when realization dawned, Sam, and you went, "Oh shit."
Yeah.
I'm going to use this picture again.
Oh, we were in bits laughing for ages. I just kept moving over, and you can see his.
That one was really funny that day. It was just how the realization dropped on you what the picture actually looked like on the screen, and it really did look like she was gobbling off the microphone.
Oh yeah, it was a sexy lady with a lollipop, and when I moved across, everywhere I moved, it looked like she was.
How did it look? Show everybody have a look.
No, I'm not doing it again. Fuck off. Taking the piss.
That was a good bit of tongue action there, Sam. I forgot what the other one was you did that was funny now.
Well, Anne Rees will remember the stunt me and Rachel pulled on an investigator that was with Paranormal Tech. They were in the middle of the woods, and one of the investigators, I had his phone number, and he decided in the dark he would go down this hollow part of it. And we decided, we ring him up. I warned him a couple of times. When you're on an investigation, don't bring your don't have your phone on, because it'll put on the EMF detectors and stuff. And we decided, we'll see did he listen to us, So we'll give him a ring. And I says, well, hold on a wee second. And next thing, we were looking at the screen. We were in Rachel's house looking at the stream. This was live. And then next thing, he went down into this hollow, and there was a big tree, and one of the branches was going straight across like that. And I seen him close to this branch, and I could barely see him, and I went 3, 2, 1, ring him. Pressed ring. And next thing you could hear, hello, and next thing, bang. You could hear this almighty bang, and next thing, oh, fuck, And then next thing, he was whinging afterwards. Some fecker rang me on a private number. Next thing, anyway, the stream finishes, and about 20 minutes later, I get this phone call, and it's your man. He says, "You never guess what happened tonight. Some fucker rang me on a private number. I'm there trying to keep my face straight, And we didn't admit it until about a month afterwards, and I admitted to Philip and Caroline that it was me and Rachel that rang him.
Right.
But it just couldn't be more perfect timing. Just as he was walking along, he got distracted in the dark, picked up the phone, and he walked straight into this tree, and you could hear this almighty thump. And now we call it Martin's tree.
You want to admit to the night when you and Rachel trolled Derek Acora?
Oh yeah, but Derek was we trolled him a couple of times. Every time we showed up, Derek would go bright red, and he would go, "Oh, feck, not ye again," Next thing, Mary loves Dick, Mary loves Dick, Mary loves Dick, and next thing, after a while, he'd get pure red, and then he said, "Guys, I gotta go now, but I love you all," But he has such good sense of humor, and just this one of the streams a couple of weeks before he died, and he says, "Derek, we're just messing with you. We don't mean any harm in that." And he says, "That's okay. I get it all the time, But he was so lovely natured about it,
It was really funny, Sam, because when you go on Facebook and you get your memory things pop up.
Yeah.
Mine, was it yesterday or today? I think it was yesterday. Was actually a picture of, because Joel bought us tickets to go and see Derek when he came to Rotherham, and that was 4 years ago today. So it's been it was surprising when it popped up today, and I thought of you when I saw the picture on Facebook.
Do you know? I mean, I thought he was, when he was almost haunted. I thought, he's just a complete fake. But actually, when we were trolling him on Facebook, we seen what kind of a person he was.
Yeah.
And when I heard he died, I I was really upset about it, you know.
Yeah.
And I was very shocked, you know.
Yeah, I know when me and Jace went to see him here in Rotherham, he was not the same person who you saw on Most Haunted. He was entirely different. He even actually brought up the subject of MH and said, and he basically told the audience that a lot of what went on, he was forced to do. He did actually say it in a round. He couldn't go into too much detail, obviously, because of, lawyers and stuff like that. But he did basically come out and say that a lot of what he was forced to do wasn't his idea, sort of thing, and he did deeply regret it.
Yeah, but a lovely natured man, I have to say. Oh,
Yeah.
he was such a lovely person, you know.
Yeah, hang on. I'm just explaining to Sharon what the point system is. The point system, Sharon, is basically just a reward system that runs on the channel. Basically, the longer you're on a stream and the more you comment, you get points which you can use to play games on the channel. Maureen's your expert. She'll tell you all about it. You have a good night, Selena. I know you're at work, so I appreciate you coming in.
Good night, Selena.
Night, Selena.
Right, has anybody else got any more funny stories before we just go into a general chat?
I'm afraid not. I have to be serious. We weren't allowed to be fucking funny. So I get battered. I get enough people around my head.
That's
And
what
I think one of the funniest moments I've had
Go on.
through entirety.
I have got one. I've got one after.
Okay.
All right. Through entirety of being, elemental encounters were actually a live stream involving Sam.
Right.
And this particular live stream, I'd got a guest on called David Wright, and he's been one of my subscribers since day one. Sam knows exactly what. Right. And he's been
We've lost her, here we go.
Yeah, it's absolutely pure gold, right? And he'd come on and we were talking about government conspiracy stuff, and really getting into it, and he goes, they don't know who I am, they can't find me, and that, and Sam's like, Dave, he says they can't get my name, and she's like, David, it says your name right below, because he put his name right, and that started it off. And then he goes, I live in South Wales, and that, and then a little bit later on, he says, they don't know where I live, and she was like, you've just told them where you live, David, And then all of a sudden, Sam, he lifted his arm up, didn't he? And he lifted his arm up and he froze like
this.
Yeah, like and she goes, I think they've got David. He's got his fucking arm. She goes right like oh no. And then Sam goes, come in with guns. Anyway, we got into this hour of laughter. And then all of a sudden Sam goes, David, if you can hear me, don't pick up the soap. And that way, absolutely tipped me over the edge. Absolutely.
Oh, I roasted him so bad that night.
Oh, yeah. And he took it all up chin, bless him. He said he absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Joanne said he never came back, did he?
I spoke to him after, but he has asked if he can come back on again. Boy, it was funny. It was so
You're probably
funny.
checking now if Sam's on before he comes in.
Oh, that night that stream finished, I was up half the night just looking at the funny bits over and over again.
Oh, it was absolutely amazing.
Oh, my stomach was in cramps laughing at some of these things.
Oh dear.
Right, Claire, go on. What was yours?
Well, it's actually me and my aunties. So we used to go to a graveyard that was local nearby,
Mhm.
and we were singing. It really. I think it was about like 1:30ish, so around about that time. So the road that we was on, it didn't have many cars or anything like that. Usually, no major happened on that road. You know, it was very quiet, very quiet. For some strange reason, there's always one that lags behind. Always had that.
Right.
That were lagging behind. We're up front. We've all got a lantern.
Yeah.
We heard a noise and we turned around and she'd just gone. My auntie just weren't there. Like she weren't there.
Right.
Couldn't see the light. Couldn't see no auntie. We're shouting for her, and all of a sudden we heard an echoey voice. She fell down a fucking manhole.
Oh, jeez. Oh, God.
We weren't lying around because it was basically this huge road. So I'd have loved to have seen it though. Can you imagine walking and all of a sudden just that? She sought counsel for thousands.
Could you imagine the video you could have been out of that abducted by aliens?
Basically, that's what I'm saying. If I'd have been watching that, I'd have thought ground swallowed her or something, you know. I never saw it. So I'm so gutted that I missed actually seeing a good Dan. Because
we'll finish on the funny stories now. As you can see, people, doing paranormal investigation is not always the serious affair people think it is. The only other one I could think of that was funny happened to me when I was a kid, and we actually went into what was rumoured at the time to be an haunted house. And while we were in there, we heard something, and we all bolted, and my mate actually stood on a plank with a nail on it, and it went straight through his foot. And he was that scared, he carried on running down the road with what looked like a ski on his foot.
Oh.
As we were trying to get out of the house, he was that petrified. And he actually ran about 200 meters down the road before he stopped to try and get this nail, and it had literally gone straight through his foot. And he looked like he was down the road with one ski on. Right, Sam, your video tonight, right, we'll just have a general discussion now. I brought some up that a lot of people were asking and you couldn't really answer while the live was on. Do you want to tell people about when you had your big cat encounter? Because there was a lot of people asking about it.
How I encountered the cat?
Yeah. You had the one in the garden.
Oh, that was a public picnic area. It just when I had finished talking about the brief little history that
not the investigation, the one when you had the panther come at the house. Everybody wanted to know about your panther.
Oh yes. Apparently there was a big wild cat running free in Letterkenny in County Donegal. Right. I think this was in 2008.
Yeah.
And the local farmers were told, you know, you have sheep, you please bring them indoors until we catch this cat.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know much else about it, but I had 3 cats, and I built this little eco house outside my house. And, you know, it had the little square window and the little window box and all the rest of it, and it was on stilts and that. And that's where I used to put the cat food for my 3 cats and that. And one night I went out to feed the cats anyway, and just as I was approaching the house, this big massive cat comes out, and I mean, like, this was about the size of a Labrador.
Yeah.
And it ran. There was a wooded area up at the side of the house, up a hill. It ran straight for that, and I ran up the hill after it because I never seen anything like that.
One chased the Black Panther up the road.
Yeah, I rang the local police, the neighbors started curtain twitching when a big van full of armed men and a couple of police cars surrounded my house. And then we're going up to and you could see the curtains all twitching, I wonder what's going on over there. This kind of,
I couldn't believe you followed it up the road. I really cannot believe you followed it.
My impression of a wild cat is they would rather stay away from humans. The only reason they turn around and attack you is if you corner them. I don't know anything about, what happened to the cat afterwards.
Yeah.
Or where it came from. The rumor was it was belonged to a private collector and it escaped.
Mm-hmm.
It was in very, very good condition, very, very shiny and that.
Yeah.
But absolutely huge.
Right.
Can
you remember, Sam, a conversation we had a few months ago when I was telling you about there was a vampire in Ireland and I could not for the life of me remember what it was or find the stuff on it?
I remember that conversation.
Vampire.
Well, I've actually found out about this Irish vampire tonight, and apparently it is called the way it's pronounced is Avatach. Right? Have a guess where that vampire is, Sam?
Wouldn't be County Donegal by any chance.
It's County Derry. No, he's not behind the curtain.
That vampire's twitching your curtains, Sam.
I found a bit more information on it today. You can still actually visit the place where he's supposedly buried. There's a big rock on top of his grave and a tree that they planted. And in 1990 something, they tried to cut the tree down and move the rock. When they tried to cut the tree down, any chainsaw they tried to cut it down with wouldn't start. They put chains around the rock, and as they were trying to move the rock, the chains snapped and basically severed the hand of one of the guys who was moving the rock, and he bled all over the grave. But apparently it's in Derry, and I've got the name of the village, and I'll give it you later. You might want to go and have a look one day.
Yeah,
might make a good video of that.
Yeah. But apparently the tree and the rock are still there because they gave up trying to move it. But the story of it is he was actually a chieftain, an Irish chieftain, who wasn't popular with his subjects in the village. And he was very suspicious of people, everybody, including his wife. And apparently he suspected his wife was having an affair. And for some reason, the one night he climbed out of one of the castle windows to follow her. Now, why he climbed out the castle window, I do not know. Slipped and fell to his death. And apparently they hated the guy so much, they literally buried him within hours. But Irish chieftains, apparently, one of the things that happened to them, one of the privilege of burial was they were buried standing up. So they buried him. And apparently the following morning, when they got up, he turned up in the village. And he was banging on people's doors with a wooden bowl, demanding that they give him blood, and he was drinking it. And he was going around all the village. So they called in some famous Irish hero at the time, who I can't remember the name, it starts with C. And apparently he killed him again. They buried him again. The following day he turned up at the village again with his bowl, begging for blood. So this hero killed him a second time, and they buried him again standing up. The following day, he was back again, this guy was, with his begging bowl, demanding that they give him blood to drink. So it was rumoured that a local druid basically told them that this guy, and it's Coach or something like that, you might know who the Irish hero, somewhat with a C. He was told by the druid that he had to kill him with a sword made from the wood of a yew tree. Then they had to bury him upside down, fill the hole in, scatter ashes and thorns on top of the grave, and then put this rock on top. And apparently the tree sprang from the thorns that they planted on top of the grave, and the rock's still there. But I will give you the name of the village afterwards, because I was reading it earlier.
I've got that story.
Yeah. But His name is actually spelled Abhartak. It looks like his name's Abartak, but apparently in Irish speak, whatever you class it as, it's actually pronounced Avatak.
Yep.
Yeah, I'll try and cover that story.
Sam, because it's in County Derry.
Yeah, it's in there's a book that's out called Myths, Vampires, Werewolves. It's got all that in it, and that's in there.
Yeah, and apparently he's the only ever recorded vampire in Ireland.
All right.
So that'll be an interesting one for you to cover.
Yeah, I'll try and get there at some point, and I'll film.
Yeah, I'll send you all the details first thing tomorrow morning, and then you'll be able to take it from there. But apparently his name is actually pronounced Avatar. Is how his name is actually pronounced. It's pronounced how it's spelled because I know a lot of the Irish combination of letters they're pronounced different to how they look.
Yeah, they are.
But I thought that was really interesting. Have you had anything interesting going on lately, Andy?
Just back out investigating as much as we can. Just like generally going back at it, just storing some videos up. I'm just going to release, once every 2 weeks. But yeah, no major.
I've got a question, please.
Yeah, go on. You can go to the toilet if you want. You don't need to ask.
What does it mean when you go out? Right, no, but mainly we've got English stone in his back garden. What we've done, because the log cabin's going to go down, it's had to have substrate up at the top, so we've had to dig it all up, and up came with English stone and bits, and we put it all to one side. And then one morning we got up and they've started creating rock formations. I mean, these rock formations are started overnight, and they're the typical big stone, medium stone, little stone, like that. So we go to CCTV camera, right, in which it would show up on. What's it like? CCTV. Look.
Oh, yeah, sorry, I'm looking at something else.
It's broke.
Lee's busy putting his new outfit and makeup on.
And that camera's broken. We cannot get it working. But the rock formation were the typical ones that you would see, in ritual burials, pagan, back in the day burial. Big, medium, small.
Andy, what are your thoughts on that one?
In back garden.
I have got no idea.
It just happened randomly, Andy. Just randomly it'll happen overnight.
I've got to be on it. Oh, that bloody dog's back again. Jesus, Sam, I've just glanced up and your dog's sitting behind you.
What dog? There's no dog.
Oh yeah, it was mine.
I've got to be honest.
That was funny last week. Now I have to say.
Claire's face. I watched that video over and over and over again. So.
No.
Claire's face when it started staring behind you.
Watch, because that's people that are disliking your videos.
Have you got a picture of it?
Same thing.
I've got to be honest, Andy. That's something I've ever heard of.
No, not just happening naturally. It's.
You ever heard anything about it, Sam? You ever encountered anything like that?
Sorry, the audio was starting to glitch a little bit. I'm missing out what you just the last thing you just said.
What Claire's just said about stones piling up.
Stones falling off what?
They pile up, so there's like a big, a middle, and a small.
Like 3 different sizes.
Claire says there's got rocks in a garden and they've started stacking themselves up overnight into piles.
Strangely enough, I went to a stone circle and there was 3 stones on top of each other. It's kind of, I don't know what it means though.
I've heard of it, like,
I don't know, it's not all the time. Sometimes.
It's actually happening, like that in a garden.
That's it.
Every time you get one, Claire, take a picture of it.
Yeah, we do. We do take pictures and keep them, or print them off and keep them in an album.
And I'd map in your garden as well, where them actually appear.
See, on my other channel, I used to do all about dogmen of the UK. Now, back then, that's what I thought they were. I believed what they were dogmen, 100%. Now, looking at it, I believe they are the Sealy of the Fae realm and probably wisp hounds, not dogmen.
Mm-hmm.
But I did used to fully believe that because I didn't know what else to. When you see something like that, how else do you describe it? You've seen a werewolf. You search werewolves, it comes up with dogmen.
Mm-hmm.
You don't realise that you're seeing a fae wolf, a guardian, But yeah, I've seen them all my life since I was little growing up. That's a big thing with these wolves. They're everywhere. I go everywhere.
I've got to be honest. It's one thing I've never actually encountered, or I can never remember actually encountering anything like that. Have you ever encountered animal type of fae, Andy?
Yeah, at Fergalon Tunnel.
Say that again. Sorry, are you cooked and missed it?
Yeah, at Fergalon Tunnel, exactly the same thing. We did think there were werewolves back then.
Yeah, that's what I thought, Andy. Werewolves.
Yeah, there were 3 of them in woods, skulking towards us very slow. Could really only see their eyes. I got a photograph on them, but then obviously putting them through light enhancer on software, it popped out big wolf-like shapes.
Yes, it does. Yeah.
And then I learned that there's 3 certain fae wolves that protect portals.
Yeah.
Like 3 guardians of portals. They've got their own names and everything. It's really cool.
Yeah. But this the ethereal wolf that I have that actually comes in my house. I call it Nix. It kind of looks like a German Shepherd, but hyena. But it's obviously it's a fae type wolf, but it's showing to me because I probably know that I'm so used to seeing them like that it doesn't offend me. If you get what I mean.
Yeah. See, that's quite interesting because the one at Flamborough in East Yorkshire, that is actually described as a giant hyena type looking cryptid.
Yeah.
But that apparently is like the size of a small pony.
Yeah.
But that one is also linked to Sam's favourite thing, Little Green Men, because there's a lot of laughing already. Look, there's a lot of sheep mutilations and stuff going on in the area as well.
So I used to think that though, Andy. I used to think they were werewolves or there were these dogmen that everybody talks about, but they're not. They're from the fae realm. But I didn't learn that later on.
Anne says she encountered one in Cannock, but not on the chase itself, and she says it was taller than a 6-foot fence.
Yeah.
So the ones you see, Claire, are they actually on all 4s, or do they walk upright?
Both. I've seen both. I've seen them on 4s, and I've seen them upright like we are.
What was yours like, Andy? Was it wolf, or was it actually werewolf? Like?
Yeah, they were both, because there were one that were really low to the ground, like it was skulking on all 4s.
Yeah.
And then you one that were kind of like squatted,
Right.
like up on its hind legs kind of thing.
Yep.
But we've seen that physical footprint, me and Becky, as well, years ago, like back in 2010. There was that human footprint in this field that were like wet with mud. And on trajectory, a human print, it just stopped, and these large dot prints carried on the same trajectory. And
so that we can change from human prints to dog prints.
And it were a clean cut as well. There were no dog prints alongside the human or inside, because I went back a few hundred feet to check it.
Yeah.
And there was nothing. And it just clean cut changed into large. I mean, slightly bigger than my St. Bernard's paws.
Have you
Terry's just said in the comments she saw a dog beast man in the mountains of California.
Yeah, there's a lot in America that are actually quite dangerous physical things. That's unfortunate for them. But if you go to such as Dogman Diaries or you go to Dogman Encounters Radio, Brent Sowen, they will learn you all about the dogmen that are in America, which are different to the ones that I've encountered over here.
Yeah. I've got to be honest, it ain't something I've ever encountered. And I've got to ask it, what's your opinion of them, Sam? What's your opinion of Dogman? I think you've muted yourself, Sam.
Sorry. The only connection that I've come across was an actual spirited dog, which the owners of the particular house that I was investigating call it a demon dog. It's a big black dog. The dog was actually seen going through the gate of the house, and there's no physical way that the dog could have fitted through the bars, and it was seen a couple of times around the property. Apart from that, no. When it comes to things like Dogman, Hat Man, all that kind of stuff, it doesn't pique my interest.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sort of more into go out and investigate with a complete clear mind with no labels.
Yeah.
That's very good. Yeah, that's very good, Sam. Because when being young and being in the family I was in, we stuck to a particular belief of the Fey realm. So that's why I see so much of the same type now. Because my mind knows them as that, so they're gonna show themselves as that. If you get what I mean, it's a subconscious thing.
Yeah.
What do you think about that? Do you think that the Fae will actually manifest as what you expect them to look like?
Are you asking me? Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. It's all built upon perceptions.
Do you think that's why the girls at Watson used to see them as like little pretty women with wings?
Probably so. I have got an interesting thing coming up where they ask me in a spirit box, do they want... Basically, I got asked, do I want a collective or a singular entity?
That's
I found very, very, very interesting. Because that's what I've been going down route to a lot these days, is that it's all like an house. For example, an house brownie is everything in your home resonating together. So the foundation of it, the brick, the wood, the plaster, anything that's naturally out in nature that has been used to build a house, the energy that's resonating in all them natural substances clubs together into one form and creates this intelligence from the home. That's why it's locked to a particular house. That's why it can't leave, because it is the house. Now, we're doing a bit of alchemy at the minute and taking, for example, bits of wood from places where we find as best communication, bits of brick, and trying to alchemize them together to see if we can make a being from all these objects.
You can.
Yes. Which,
you can, I'm going to tell you can. It's been done. You can.
Yeah, we've been instructed to try it. So this is our sort of next phase. It's really cool. It's interesting.
It is, yeah.
So yeah, I believe it's all based upon perception, but it has got a memory. So the energy remembers what it used to be and can prefer to be a particular type of label, e.g. the Fae. Because it was the Fae for so long. It was the Fae for a long time. So, for example, the bigger intention of person, so say me going out with a demon hunter the Fae will take preference to be, the energy will take preference to the Fae because my intention's a lot stronger than the demon.
Yeah.
The good intention prevails the bad.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's
That's
a
my
there's a
issue,
comment-
though. That's my
there's a
issue,
comment
Andy.
for you, Claire. Lee Guy says if he was a single man, he'd share his last Rolo with you.
What?
Lee, in the comments, Lee Guy says if he was a single man, he'd share his last Rolo with Claire.
I love chocolate. Anything chocolate goes.
Lee comes in that package in his Aber outfit, Lee. See, it's really interesting when you're saying things like that, Andy, because I don't know if you've heard, but we've been having stuff starting to happen in the house again. Yeah.
Yeah, Brett,
I-
talking to me.
About 2 weeks ago, I was in bed the one night. Jace was at home with his mum and dad's, and I saw something black in the doorway.
Okay.
Not human shaped. It was just a blob, and it actually moved. It actually moved into the bedroom, just stepped into the doorway, and then just disappeared. And I said nothing to Jason, and then 2 days later, Jace said, "Have you seen anything in the bedroom?" And I started smirking because I had, but I didn't want to say anything.
Yeah.
I said, "Why have you asked that?" And he said, "I saw something in the bedroom last night." And I'm like, "What did you see in the bedroom?" And he said he was lying in bed and he heard something move into the bedroom. He heard it shuffling into the bedroom. And when he looked up, there was a little black figure the size of a child, and it walked across the bedroom at the bottom of the bed.
Brilliant.
But the one I'd seen was big. It was like 6 foot. But he's insisted the one he thought was child size. And the other really weird thing that happened the other day that quite freaked me out. I'd been upstairs and Jace rang me, and I came downstairs, answered Jace on the phone, and then went back upstairs, did some stuff, and then came back downstairs, and I was messing with my computer. And I checked my phone a couple of times to see if Jace had rung, nothing there, so I thought nothing of it. Sat there for about half an hour, and then Jace turned up, and about 10 minutes later, I went to pick my phone up, and my phone weren't there. So I got Jace to ring it, and when it rang, it was actually at the top of the stairs, smack bang in the middle, just above the last step.
Right. Excellent.
So we're having weird things happen again.
Yeah. Cool.
But Jace is absolutely convinced it's because I've started streaming on YouTube again with the paranormal.
Really?
He's convinced because it only started happening after I did the first stream. Once I started streaming again, he's absolutely convinced that me doing paranormal streams again is triggering stuff in the house. He's convinced of it. He ain't bothered by it, but he's absolutely convinced that it's because we're talking paranormal again.
Well, it does help.
I find that I have an issue. I'm quite a positive person. It doesn't matter what's happening in my life. I'm really, really I don't know what it is with me. But that really attracts them. Do you know? Have you noticed that, Andy? It's like seeing a light at the end of a tunnel, I suppose, and they cling to it. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah, I always say if anything gives me an inkling of a bad mood before I go out investigating, we might as well not fucking bother because we'll not get shit. If I'm all good and I've had a really good day and I'm vibing and everything's cool, it'll be a lot better. Yeah,
it's weird. And because I've always been like that, and I'm like that in general, I do seem to attract a lot. But I'm very naughty because, I decided to start opening portals, which I've never done before, as a rule. But I was encouraged to do so, and I can open them, Andy, but I can't close them, so I kind of just leave them.
Yeah, just leave them. You don't need to close them.
No, because I opened one in my bedroom.
Yeah, that's right. It's
not. It's really not, Andy. You don't understand.
It's good. I've got a permanent opening in my living room. It's fine.
I don't know. But I've stopped doing them now because I can't close them.
Here's one for all of you then. He says, when people say they wake up and see a hag or a shadow on their chest, I've had that and can't move things lots of times. So what's your opinion on that, Sam?
A shadow over
When people wake up and they claim they can't move on a bed and there's something sitting on them.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of it. It's very, very difficult to know. A lot of people claim it's some sort of sleep paralysis or stuff like that. Now, we sort of have to look into the logical stuff before we start jumping to conclusions. And very often when we jump to conclusions, we often jump to other people's conclusions. Do you know where I'm coming from?
Yeah.
Personally not experiencing anything like that. I can't make very much of a comment on it, to be honest with you, but I've heard a lot of stories,
Yeah. Claire?
So I don't know for definite. It's only kind of what I've been told, and I've only really had a couple of experiences where this has happened, and it weren't like bad things were happening in my life. So, I was told if you saw a hag, as in an old hag witch, you needed to go and see a shaman and be cleansed, basically. That was probably a curse. But if you saw a shadow, that was something within you that was creating this force that was negative against yourself. So I don't know.
So it was all self-inflicted?
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Sorry, go on, Claire, I thought you finished.
No, I have. I mean, I don't know for definite. It's just what I was told and what I was told growing up. So it's not like, that's what it definitely is. It's just what I was told. I don't actually know. I ain't got a clue, but yeah.
That's what you were brought up to believe. Andy, what's your opinion?
Right. So basically, like Sam says, you've got to, be wary of jumping to conclusions, and you've got to experience it as well.
Yeah.
I've only had it once, and I'm pretty open. I've experienced stuff all my life, and I did feel like there was something in the bedroom. It weren't sat on me or out like that, but there were a presence there. Now, this is nitty-gritty on it, right? And this is nearly impossible to do, but folklore tells us if you dig deep enough, that if you allow this entity to do what it's trying to do while you're having your paralysis, it's trying to enter your dreams.
Right.
To give you some sort of prophecy dreaming, right? You've got to dig really deep to find that information, but the natural human instinct is to fight what's happening to you.
That makes sense.
Honestly, when it happened to me, I was trying to move my arms, move my legs. I was like, I'm going to do it. And you snap out on it eventually, and you're like, oh my God, what just happened,
Yeah.
But apparently, you have to ride the wave of it, and something good can come out of it, apparently.
It sounds like quite a few in the chat have suffered from it. Joanne B says it's horrible, and Drina says that she suffered it from being a little girl.
Yeah, the feeling on it is harsh.
That is really interesting, saying that it's occurred to them when they were a child, because for me that ain't something a child would imagine. Something sitting on them, pinning them down. That ain't the sort of thing that a kid would think about, or a person I wouldn't think they would. So that gives it more credibility that it is something external. Well, I'm just going through the chat.
Somebody was asking me about my little bear, and does it go off in my house? That bear, I bought it when I started investigating. The thing was, the investigators that bought it, or that had it before me, the reason why they sold it is they brought it to an abandoned children's hospital, and ever since they done that investigation, they believed that there was a a child spirit in their house playing up with them. And I thought, I just want a static bear. And they didn't want very much for it, so I bought it. I wasn't into the story.
Mm-hmm.
That's when stuff started happening in my house. And it was before I bought any other weird stuff, And they says they couldn't even use the bear on investigations because it was going off all the time, And they reckon that this child spirit was Tim. And every so often I would get a child's voice coming up on the spirit box, Tim. And I've experienced the similar experiences to the paranormal investigator stuff throwing. And actually, I was sitting in this position here one day doing a video, and a small ball of paper flew past me and landed at the computer over there. And it's only me and the dog in the house. I don't get it. I left out toys and marbles and stuff, and I had a personal experience where I asked the marbles to be moved, and two of them were moving around in a circle on the table, and they would stop when I asked it. And it's not something that I really wanted to document on camera at the time because it was so personal.
Yeah,
I was so engrossed in it, if you know what I mean. If you get a personal experience, sometimes the last thing you're thinking about is documenting it on camera.
Yeah.
You're engrossed in the experience, sort of thing. So, so I don't know. Is there a spirit attached to the bear? I do not know, but that's when things started happening here. And this is a brand new apartment,
See what's really interesting with the bear I've got that Andy meant for me. I haven't actually tried it in this house, and I'm going to. But in my old house, I could switch that bear on an hour before I started the stream, and nothing had happened. And then I'd start the stream, and me and Andy would do the normal stream, and then we'd just start talking in general. And Andy will verify this, and we'd suddenly start talking about a subject, and that bear would start triggering.
Yeah.
And we had that a couple of times, didn't we, Andy? And it was like when certain things were said, the bear was flagging as if it was acknowledging what we were saying, right?
To keep really weird. It's really cool.
Anne's got a question for you, Andy.
Okay.
I had to scroll right up to find it. I missed it, my fault. She said, elementals are coming forward more and more. Do you think there's a reason why this is happening?
Yeah, I do. Because the cycle is turning again. That's all I can say about it.
Do you think that the Fae activity will ramp up now, Andy? Now we've got autumn coming in and they've got less to do nature-wise.
Yes, we'll have about just to end of November for major stuff, and then they'll go quiet again for winter. They always do.
Yeah.
But autumn is autumn and early summer really busy for them. Really busy.
Yeah. Do any of you lucid dream? Do you have lucid dreams where you can control them?
I've had a couple of instances, not something I can actually perform, if you know what I mean.
Sam?
Lucid dreams. What do you mean by lucid dreams?
They're dreams when you know you're actually dreaming and you can control what happens in them.
I can't really remember offhand.
Claire?
Yes, I learned to lucid dream because I was having a dream that was consistent. It was basically 3 large wolves, upright. Funny you should mention the 3 colours because they were, Andy. And they were chasing me down this dirt road.
Yeah.
Now, usually when something attacks or something gets you, you wake up. Well, no, you see, in this dream, I would watch myself get ripped to shreds. So somebody said to me, and it was a reoccurring nightmare, basically all the time. It was this, and I had a bad experience with a grey type entity that would look like a wolf, and it was a real bad experience. And I think that triggered it. And someone taught me to lucid dream so that I could change that dream and change the outcome.
I've had a few occasions, I remember, where I've been dreaming and I've thought, no, I don't want that to happen, I want something else to happen, and it has. So I presume that's a form of
Yeah, definitely.
But I cannot bring myself in the, I can't consciously do it.
Well, it's very odd.
Part of a dream.
You've got to be very careful because, like, I've done it, and then you know what I'm like with my mind, Brett. It's everywhere. I can be thinking about duck, then I'm thinking about leggings. Different. I'm a bit like my mind's just like it's everywhere. So
yeah, mine's like that. I'll jump from one subject to the next.
Right. So when you're lucid dreaming, sometimes things pop in that don't need to be in there, and even people, from your daily life, and that can be a bit weird.
Right. Lee asked, do you believe when you're falling in a dream, if you hit the floor, you'll die? Now, I'll give my answer, and then I'll ask everybody else. No, I don't believe you'll die if you hit the ground. I do believe, and this is quite a common theory out there, a lot of people believe on what is when your soul goes wandering while you're asleep, and as the soul re-enters the body, because it's operating at a faster frequency outside the body, it has to slow down as it re-enters, and that is the feeling you get of the jump. Yeah.
I believe that, Brett. I believe that. I believe it's the soul coming back to the body. It's that jolt that wakes you up because it's had to come to your frequency, to your vessel's frequency, and re-enter. And we jolt, and we think we fell in a dream. And so, yeah, I'm same with you, Brett, with that one.
Andy?
I'm same.
That was an easy one. Sam?
I've done it again now, didn't I?
Blame me, you're not, Sam.
Yeah, there is a bleed in the audio, and I thought I'd just mute my microphone to see is it me, but it actually isn't.
Okay.
I get a lot of dreams where I'm suddenly woken up like as if I had fallen and that, and I don't know. I'm the type of person people say a lot of things and have a lot of theories and that. But at the end of the day, they're theories and that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry I have my skeptic head, but that's the way I sort of am. I don't know what it is, but it is kind of weird.
Yeah.
Do we die for a split second and then all of a sudden, come back to life? Does our soul leave the body and suddenly jump back in there? At the end of the day, I haven't looked into the science of sleep patterns or anything like that, but I'm sure that there's some information out there on similar experiences, where they have put sensors on parts of the body to monitor these things, and heart monitors and all sorts of stuff, but I haven't looked into any of that. I haven't looked into it.
And she'd travel around the world. She'd never been to India, but she was there. Here's an interesting one on dreams by Debbie. Has anyone else ever had premonition dreams that have come true?
Yeah.
Sam?
I can't remember.
No, I can't either. I cannot remember having a dream where it's come true. I've got to be honest with that one. That's something I've never experienced.
Somebody just says that my bear is lighting up. This bear does the opposite thing. It's actually a static bear, and when static goes to the bear, the lights flicker and go off instead of going on. It's just somebody said it in the chat there.
Hang on, I'm just answering that. Now, Lee, I can't actually do them at the moment. Maureen, because I'm not actually on YouTube. I'm on Streamlabs. I'm about to keep doing Streamlabs. So I can't do it at the moment. I will put in some on for the next one, though. Yeah, I can honestly say I cannot remember any time where I've had a premonition dream. So what was yours, Andy?
Mine's got a little bit of a twist to it. It was very personal. It was so basically, in my dream, I'd gone to the top of my street, and where it curves right corner to go towards the local park, there were an apple tree. With all green apples on, and they dropped all apples on the floor. So I started collecting some up, and this old lady comes to the door, and she's like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm just picking some apples. Is that all right?" And she goes, "You don't want them ones, love." She goes, "Come right back into the garden." She goes, "There's a better one, and you can pick them straight from the tree." And I goes, "Oh, all right, cool." So I went right back. Very, very, very strongly remember all these bright red apples, and she's like, "You've always got to pick." And I'm like, "Oh, all right." So I filled this bag up, and then dream ended. I didn't think no else on it. So I told Becky about it, like, and
He's dropped his lolly up floor.
I just heard the swearing and the mumbling in the background.
He's dropped his favourite lolly on the floor.
Yeah, go on, carry on, Andy.
So literally a day or two later, I was having a granny nap at middle of the afternoon, and I get up and Becky says, "You need to listen to this," and I'm like, "Listen to what?" So she puts me this old ballad song on about this old ancient tale of this guy called Thomas the Rhymer from up Scotland.
Yeah.
And in this, he meets an elven queen that takes him away to a faraway land. And they come across this orchard, and she tells him that if he picks the apple from the tree and eats it, it will give him a tongue that will never lie.
Yeah.
Right? And it will give him the prophecy. And never to eat the apples from the floor because they are all the lies of the land that's fallen upon the day. And now you what? Anyway, all this Thomas the Rhymer thing, we ended up being guided to go to this place. It's like a true story. You know, he were an actual real bloke that went missing for 7 years and what. You know, and I just thought it was phenomenal. Like my dream 2 days earlier tallied up to this information we were going to discover that were integral part of our journey. Yeah.
Claire, what was yours?
No, I can't. I basically had a dream that I was raped, and I actually was raped.
And did it actually follow how you dreamt it?
White van was exactly the same. The back of the van was exactly the same. The smell was exactly the same. It was horrendous. It was like living it twice, yeah.
That was weird. That's weird. That ain't the sort of thing you really want to dream about. That's not true, is it?
No.
I've got to be honest, I can't remember a single time where I've dreamed something and then it's come true. I've dreamt things and then similar things have happened, but I've never had one that, you know, I could say perfectly match my dream.
Well, I dreamt about planes flying into buildings, you know, and a week later then 9/11 happened. I thought that were odd.
Mind you, I know somebody else who dreamt about 2 buildings burning just before 9/11.
Yeah. It weren't like exactly the same as what it showed. It weren't exactly the same. It was similar though, you know.
a friend of mine dreamt that, that they dreamt that it was 2 blocks of flats on fire. And then the following day that happened. Terry said the night before Princess Diana died, I dreamt a woman on the centre divider of a freeway with blonde hair and a black car with people in it had crashed.
There you go. Yeah. It's,
I dreamt of a car crash and it woke me up. And I was out of my sleep pattern to get up and turn on the television. And the minute I turned the television on, I could see the black car in the tunnel. And I woke up my partner at the time, and I always remembered it. It was out of my sleep pattern to get up and turn the television on, but I was compelled sort of to do that.
Yeah.
Something wasn't right, sort of thing. And when I turned on the television, it was a bit of a shock. It was pretty,
Yeah.
But I was woke up suddenly by this impact, and it shocked me so much that I wouldn't go back to sleep. And I says, I'll get up, have a cup of tea and a ciggy, and turn on the television for a while. I might settle down then, turn the television on. Sure, I was up half the rest of the night then, because of it.
Because it didn't happen some like 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. It was really early, wasn't it? In the morning.
Yeah.
Terry says she also had a dream of a purple balloon and then walked outside later, looked up and saw a purple balloon.
Yeah, I've had weird stuff like that.
If you dream of 6 numbers, can you just message me on Facebook, please? And I'll stick them on the lottery that day.
Don't quite work like that, Brett. Wish it did.
Mm-hmm. So I honestly cannot remember once where I've had a prophetic dream, not once.
Well, Lee,
I don't say they don't happen. It's just something I've never experienced.
Lee talks in his sleep. He fights in his sleep. He will get up.
Jace is the same and swears blind he don't.
Yeah, he'll get up. He'll walk around in his sleep, but he remembers nothing.
Yeah. Mind you, my son used to do that a lot when he was younger. And, you could have full-blown conversations with him play while he was asleep.
Yeah.
You'd just guide him back to bed. He wouldn't know he'd have the conversation the following morning.
Well, he's been fast asleep, and he's come looking for me, calling me mummy. Lee.
You need to get him a boy outfit, and you could have some fun with that. Pair of shorts and stuff.
But he's actually said though, he don't say mum, he don't say mum, he'll go, mummy.
Yeah.
What do you want? Honestly.
See, it's amazing how the human mind works. Because your subconscious could recall things right back in your early childhood that you can't remember. See, my earliest childhood memory, I think I was about 3. I think about 3 years old. And we were walking down the road with my parents and my godparents. And I remember looking up at the sky and seeing all the stars and just wondering about them. And that is my earliest memory. What's yours, Andy? Hang on, I'll go round you. What's yours, Andy?
What earliest memory?
Yeah.
Being carried downstairs by someone I couldn't see.
Yeah. Something like that would make an impact. Claire?
Yeah.
That was basically the same as Andy, floating. That's what I was floating downstairs. But my son, my eldest son, I'm going to get him to speak to people because honestly, he's weird. He's weirder than me. He says that he can remember being an entity that was placed inside the body he's in now. And he explains it to a T. I can't explain it because I'm like, right. But he can. And it's really weird. It's very bizarre what he explains.
I know somebody who claims they can remember being born.
Well, yeah, basically that's what he said. I remember that, yeah.
Yeah. Sam?
Yeah.
My earliest memory in general,
Yeah.
It's very, very difficult because I didn't go through a bad childhood, but I went through bad teenage years. I remember I remember I had this little Volkswagen Beetle, and I used to, drive around the house on it.
Yeah.
And I used to peep out over the wall. We had a big garden, and it was nice and safe and that. And my neighbour across the road, she was a very swanky lady with the sunglasses, kind of real cool and all the rest of it. And she had this old Toyota Celica with this Roadrunner sticker on the back of it. And, when I bought my Renault Megane Coupe, I bought that Roadrunner sticker to put on the back of the car because that's my earliest memory. So I have my Roadrunner sticker on the back of my car, and that's why,
Well, my
I can also remember when my youngest brother had died. I can remember that as well. Now, when I was, but I'm pretty sure that dream I have about that memory I've got of us walking down the road was before that. I'm pretty sure it was. I've got to have been. But I've got friends who say they can remember when they were like 1 and 2. I can't remember that far back.
No, I can't. But my son remembers being born. He remembers being placed in his vessel, is what he calls it. He remembers being put into it and being born.
Yeah, my friend says I can remember actually being born. And I can remember how horrible it was because I come out and it was all cold and bright and noisy. And
yeah. That's right. It's funny. That's what Josh says. He said he remembers coming out and wanting to go back in.
Well, most men do that. They spend 9 months in there and the rest of their life wanting to get back in. That's what they say.
Yeah.
Lee Guy says his missus can remember living a past life. Have any of you got memories like that?
Oh, don't. Just don't.
Go on then, Claire. Spit it.
I'm not kidding you. So I did this past life regression thing, yeah. I like doing things like that. I like to experience things like that. And I was a woman on an horse, and I was literally beheading people. I weren't important. I didn't have armor on, right? Yeah. I weren't of stature in the community.
Yeah.
But apparently I was.
You were going around chopping people's heads off. I don't think you're very popular.
No, well, but you know what I mean, though. There were no insignia on me. It weren't anything like that. To be fair, I looked like a scruff, but I was a murderer. I mean, I was blatantly murdering people. And I got slaughtered. I got my head chopped off in the end, but it was Andy that done it.
That's weird.
Mm.
Do you think you've ever experienced a past life, Sam?
Oh, I'm not saying it's that, though. I don't know what it is, but that's what I experienced.
I don't know. I have a occurring dream, and when I'm in places like Cumber House, I kind of feel
like you know them,
familiar in that kind of environment, sort of thing. And I love the old-fashioned dresses, and that era sort of thing. The recurring dream was, remember being on it seems like I was on a hunt. Yeah. And big long coat and the big gloves and the big hat and that, and all prim and proper on this big black horse. And I was coming in to the stables when the dog startled the horse, and the horse went up on its hind legs. I came back, and then when the horse went forward, it kicked its hind legs and hit me in the head. Yeah.
Wow.
I keep having that same dream sort of thing.
Yeah,
that's fascinating. That.
And I loved. I even played a rich lady in the famine. We done a famine play at school. Now I was very, very shy in that, but that era sort of I love that. You know, I have a now I love horses, but I'm scared of them.
Yeah.
And all my life I've been to hospitals, doctors and that, and they can't figure out why I have so many pains in my head. You know,
See,
they've
this
got
is a common thing with people who believe in, you know, reincarnation and past lives, that they do say that marks on your body and certain fears and stuff and certain medical conditions can be linked to deaths of a past life. Have you ever had one? Have you ever had anything where you think might be a past life, Andy?
No, nothing.
No, Normie?
Nothing.
But there again, I don't know if you ever experience it, but I sometimes dream and then I wake up and I can't remember the dream I've just dreamt. Even though it was like seconds ago, I was just dreaming it.
See, I'm not so sure it is a past life, like I said, Brett. It's just that I went into that regression. That's where I saw it. It could have been out. It could have drilled out into me while I were under, let's be honest. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but it's a really strange thing to be imagining, running around chopping people's heads.
It's really horrible, yeah. It's quite horrendous.
But I have that happen quite a lot where I dream things, and when I wake up, and literally seconds after I've woke up, thanks for joining, Terry. Thank you very much. When I woke up, I literally cannot remember what I was dreaming about a few seconds before. I don't know if any of you lot have experienced that, but I always find it weird.
Lee does that a lot.
Yeah. Because surely you should still have it in your head what you've just been thinking about.
Yeah, even if you did dream Lee, you woke up and it wouldn't be there anymore, it'd be gone, wouldn't it? It'd be like it didn't exist.
It was only 1 or 2 times I never remember.
Yeah, but they're weird. I'm not even going into them.
Bits, and then I just can't remember.
You don't even want to know the dream that he did remember.
Oh, come on, Claire. This one sounds interesting.
Oh no, man! Even I looked at him like, "Are you for real?" He dreamt that there was a massive spaceship pulling in over our house.
Yeah.
And that these beings came out of it and were stood outside him and told him that he now owned the spaceship and needed to come and live with them. He needed to, yeah. And he got
that kind of dream. That's like my fairy portal. I'd have gone.
Well, he got a license to drive it till what? Tell you, and
love that kind of dream.
And he were off. He were gone off to space. He were lovely. That he has those kind of dreams. They're always like that. They always involve, if he ever remembers them, and it's very rare, but they do always involve what you would call extraterrestrial or ET. Yeah, that's what they're like.
Does he think he's ever been abducted?
I do, because I've got a chip that we took out of his body that's a meteor. It looks like meteorite, but I don't know what it is.
Have you never had it analysed?
We sent some off to be analysed, never got it back, never got no results, never got nothing, Brett.
That's weird.
Luckily, we did keep some. When you come, we'll show you.
Yeah. I've never been anal probe though.
You don't know that. You don't know that. God damn.
See, I know a woman who claimed that she's been abducted since she was like 3 years old, and apparently they took her womb, and she spins all sorts of yarns. But the only problem with this woman is she's one of these people who loves attention, and I mean to the point where they will sit there and blatantly tell you a lie, and you know it's a lie, and she knows it's a lie. But this story she tells is really, and this woman is one of the most well documented of the British abductees. If I said a name, you could go on the internet now and you'd find her on the internet, where she's been interviewed by top researchers in the country connected to UFO abduction. But I ain't convinced this is the truth. She also has another story where she owns a 50-mile wide spaceship that's hovering invisibly over Glastonbury Tor.
there's a story that I heard actually from somewhere in Essex, and this lady said that she saw in a graveyard. She saw something digging up a grave. Now it's probably a fair few years back. This story, could it 7 or 8 years, something like it, quite old. Now she said this thing that was digging out the grave was half man, half beast.
Right.
It was kind of part wolf, part man, but it actually had claws on. So it looked like a werewolf, but it had human legs that were airy like a wolf.
Yeah.
But it was straight, they weren't bent backwards.
Yeah.
And it had torn jeans on and a checkered top. Has anybody ever heard or anything like that?
Funnily, it's really weird you've mentioned that, because I was actually, was it on YouTube I saw it, or was it elsewhere? I've recently been reading about something very, very similar, where for 3 nights there was what they described as a werewolf digging up a mound. And I've only been reading about that very, very recently, so it's really weird that you've mentioned that. But apparently this thing returned for I think it was 3 or 4 nights.
Yeah, they're often
digging on top of a mound.
Oh, don't you?
Yeah.
Have you ever heard anything like that, Andy?
I hadn't know.
But it's really weird you mentioned that, Claire, because I was literally reading about something very similar about a week and a half ago.
Yeah, well, this was a lady. I think her name was Sharon, but I'm not.
It's just a security guard that I read about, and the security guard actually witnessed it 3 times over 3. I think it was over 3 nights.
Yeah, and it fascinated me because it did have the human legs, you know.
Yeah.
And it had torn jeans on and a checkered shirt they were torn, but it had clothes on, and that really
this one was definitely naked but covered in hair, and apparently it was squatting on top of this dirt mound, and it was digging like it was looking for something.
Yeah.
And that is how the security guard described it, and apparently he encountered it on 3. I'll have to find it again now and tell you where it is. But he actually saw it for 3 consecutive nights. And I can't remember whether I watched it on YouTube or whether I read it on one of the websites I go on.
There's the old stinker, isn't there, as well? I read about that.
Yeah, old stinker.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Was that one from Hull?
Yeah, from Hull, yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't believe it's a werewolf running around, Andy.
No, me neither.
No, I don't.
I honestly don't believe that shapeshifters are a physical thing. I think they're an energy thing. Because if you think about it, a body is made up of a specific mass and stuff.
Yeah.
So surely, if you're just manipulating that mass, you've only got that mass to work with. So I couldn't believe that like a man could turn into like a rat or a dog because they've got a lot less mass. I do believe in shapeshifters, but I think they're energy based.
I used to get told a scary story when I was a kid. It's kind of something that was done as a normal thing, I suppose. And it was about shapeshifting, but it was about 3 brothers. Mm-hmm. 3 brothers went to war, right? They used to do rituals and don wolf pelts, and they would lay dormant. Their vessel would lay dormant with the pelts on, and they would shape their energy, their soul would turn into what we know as a werewolf. It would be seen as a werewolf. It would be able to attack, and the enemy found the bodies of these people, whatever you want to call them, while they were laid dormant, the vessel, and slaughtered each one. And they then remained in their wolf form for eternity because the body had been slaughtered, so the soul could not go back to it.
Do you think, Andy, that a lot that the werewolf myths came from bar guests?
Oh, I think somewhere outline it could have had something to do with it. Maybe. I don't know.
You know, because bar guests are older than werewolves.
Oh, yeah, much older.
You know, and I wonder, you know, was that another way that they kept the belief alive by changing certain
Possibly.
sayings into other things?
Yeah.
What's your take on werewolves, Sam? I'm dying to hear this.
I'm very skeptical of a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So if I see one, I'll believe it.
Yeah.
But the question is, why is so many people talking about them?
Yeah.
You know, where is it originating from?
Yeah.
You know?
I always say this, you know, there's myth. Every myth has got to have a kernel of truth for it to have formed in the first place.
Yeah, I believe that. Yeah.
That's the same thing with the Fey realm. But then, you know, you heard the Spirit Box session earlier on this evening, this leprechaun twice, and all this stuff. And, you know, sometimes these things come up and I just don't, you know. And but the thing is, you know, I've got an open mind, and that's the reason why I started doing woods, you know. You know, but at the same time, I'm trying to keep a level head.
Yeah.
And not be influenced by stories, you know, way back years ago, all sorts of stories.
Yeah.
And you know, you didn't have media or TV. It went around by word of mouth, and most of the time where people got together was the public house.
Yeah.
So, you know, somebody comes in and says, well, I seen a werewolf in the woods.
Yeah.
You tell that to a group of people that are completely and utterly cabbaged.
Yeah.
And when they go to tell it to somebody else,
entirely different
the story's completely different. I have books here of haunted all sorts of places and tales and stuff.
Yeah.
And you know, there's stories. Cumber House is over the top to, in my mind, stories and that.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily believe it, and I think sometimes, you know, the same that thing happens. Somebody may go out and be completely and utterly out of their head drunk, and claim they've seen something, and then they go barging into the pub and, hey everybody, I seen a werewolf, I seen a ghost, and oh God, oh, I knew there was something about that place.
Yeah, and
you know.
Lee guys put one here. There's one of the Irish stories from my book is about some posh folk going fox hunting. Random chap turns up, goes back with the hunt to the house, fell asleep, and the servant took one of his boots off to reveal a hoof foot. Now, I've heard a similar story to that, and it was when there was a group of people playing cards in an house somewhere. I can't remember the full story, but they realised he'd got cloven feet.
That house is actually for sale, and it's in Ireland. It's in is in County Wexford. It's a big mansion. No, Ghost Adventures went to it, and they didn't actually do very much with it. It's still got the boarded up windows, but they're still doing the ghost tours and stuff. But apparently, it's for sale. I can't remember what the price tag of it. I think it was something like £1 million or something like that. But Rachel told me that that house is actually up for sale.
There was that.
Sorry. If anybody knows the name of the house in the chat, you know, let us know.
Yeah, I don't know it, but there was a man, and his son dug up 2 skulls, didn't he? And they took them in the house. And when they took them in the house, I can't remember the area. They took the skulls in the house, and then after that, they kept seeing a werewolf, you know, in the house. And these skulls have ended up at a British museum or something. I can't remember the story, but it's really interesting. The archaeologist that took the skulls off this person then claimed that she saw the werewolf, and it kind of followed the skulls. It's right weird. I'll have to find it. I don't know. It's an interesting story. I think it turned out to be some sort of hoax in the end, though.
Yeah. But why would somebody like an archaeologist want to get involved in an hoax like
Doesn't
that?
make sense, does it?
Because it really knocks their credibility down, doesn't it?
The skulls were real. The
Yeah.
skulls were real. It's the story of the werewolf shapeshifter appearing and running through a house, and they claim that possibly has been dramatized, through years. But the skulls were real skulls. Yeah, they're in a museum. I forget what skulls they are, though. They are human skulls, but they're a particular tribe.
Yeah. Andy,
Mm-hmm.
can you tell that? Because I was trying to tell it the other night and I couldn't remember all the details because we were discussing it. Can you tell that story about that little shoe and me and Sam were talking about it, the little shoe and the jacket that was found? Did you know all the details on it?
Yeah. It's right at the shoe. I can't remember for the life of me what name of mountain is, but it's right at bottom of Ireland. It's like right on southern coast.
It's not going to
Anyway,
down south, I won't know.
yeah. Anyway, he were a doctor. And he had to cross this mountain to get to the village.
Yeah.
And only like what quickest route. And anyway, he got this. He had to go and see somebody in the village. And he's hiking along, and he found this little leather shoe up on that mountain. And apparently, it's got actual wear to the skull.
Yeah.
So it's been worn, it's been trod. It's got wear at the back of the ankle. And when they've scanned it, because they thought it were like a shoemaker's like maquette, that they'd like for a template.
Yeah.
When they've scaled it up to human size, it's abnormal. It's like you'd have to have like double width of your human foot at the front to the back. Really bizarre. It wouldn't fit a human foot. But like I say, it's got actual wear of it. Now, legend at Leprechaun is they only ever make one shoe.
They only got one shoe.
They only ever make one shoe. They never make a pair.
Well, that's helpful.
Yeah, it's really bizarre. So the guy just finding one shoe kind of tallies up to that folklore a little. But the coat were found somewhere mid-Ireland, I think. But again, they were strange. This were inside an old dry stone wall.
Right.
And it was like a grey style frock coat.
Mm-hmm. See, that's interesting, isn't it? Because people always associate leprechauns to be dressed in green. So you think if it was a fake, they'd have done it in some kind of green material.
Yes. Well, some earliest accounts of leprechauns were clad in grey and brown.
Right.
So, basically this coat again, it had signs of wear. It had like wear to lining, back at neck. Pockets had got holes in it where a pipe had been stored. Like burnt, singed holes.
Yeah.
And again, when they blew it up to adult size, the proportions were really strange. It's like the arms were too long for a person.
Yeah.
But the cuff sections were like really oversized. But the armholes, we wouldn't have been able to put our arms inside. So top of arms were really, really skinny. But cuffs were massive. Like for bigger hands. Really bizarre, weird proportions. Created signs of wear on it. And
the thing is, Andy, if somebody is going to go to that extent to make a shoe that they even put wear and tear on it, why would they hide it on the top of a mountain where it's very dark and it's going to be fake?
Well, why would they skin a mouse and mess around with mouse skin to make shoe? That was supposed to be the material the shoe was made from, was mouse skin.
Yeah.
But
apparently they did find a gold coin in that jacket pocket as well.
A tiny little coin.
A gold coin, a pure gold coin.
Wow. Right, we've got somebody's just come in called Invisible Man. He says, has anybody on the panel ever been under hypnosis? No for me.
No.
No.
Nope.
No, none of us. I'd love to try it, to experience it, but I don't know whether I'd be, because some people are
I'd
hypnotised.
like to watch Lee go through it.
You'd like that?
I'd like to watch Lee have it done.
Why?
Because it's funny watching somebody else have it done if you haven't it done.
I do know somebody who has been hypnotised, and they said you don't even realise you don't realise you're asleep. It's just like you're slightly detached from your. He says they said it was hard to explain that you're doing the things, but it's like there's something else controlling what's going on, sort of thing.
God, that's weird.
They were still fully aware that where they were and everything.
Oh no.
I was reading them. Debbie says she tried it to stop smoking and did not work. See, I've heard mixed results with it being hypnotised to stop smoking. I know people who've had it and they've stopped smoking, and I know people who've had it and they smoke more.
Mind over matter.
That's the same with what's acupuncture with the needles. Hey, where's the Invisible Man? Seagate's just been talking about it. He experienced where he woke up thinking about his granddad that much that he rang his nan, and apparently he fell down and broke his hip. Anybody ever experienced anything like that? I don't think I have. I'll tell you what I used to have a lot when I was younger. I would suddenly think of a person that I may not have seen for years, and within 24 hours I'd either see them or hear about them.
I
love that.
There are a lot in my 20s. Not so much now, but I used to have that a lot in my 20s.
I find that with my spirit box, it's like I was saying to you, Brett. Before you got ill, me and Lee were sat here, and the spirit box was saying Brett, and it said Hart, but it didn't say it together. And I thought it were talking about Bret Hart wrestler.
The wrestler, yeah.
But then you had an heart attack.
Yeah.
And I thought that was very odd. I don't know, it was just bizarre. It was very bizarre, that.
Yeah.
I got a one over my spirit box. Last Christmas, I was doing a spirit box session with somebody who requested one.
Yeah.
And I got a message of a spirit box, and it said Richard before Christmas. And then 4 days before Christmas Day, a friend of mine, Richard, died in his sleep.
Oh, wow.
And and I was like, oh my God. I didn't even click that it was,
Well, every time you're poorly, Andy, it says your name on my box.
Yeah.
Every time you're sick, Willie or Andy.
I'll put your spirit box is that clear.
Oh, yeah. Oh, God.
Yeah, I'm like Jack on that. I don't know whether I'd like to be hypnotised, but then I don't like the idea of me not being fully in control while it was happening.
Yeah, I agree with you with that.
There's that thing that, and that they say that an hypnotist cannot force you to do something that you find immoral or stuff like that. You see these. Thanks, Invisible. You see these things where they have people on stage and it's like bark like a dog, and then they've got another bloke and they say he's a bitch dog and you're a boy dog. Now have some fun, and they do it.
Well, I'd do it anyway. That not have to advertise. We just ask them.
A lot of people wouldn't, Claire, and yet they still do it. So this makes me think that they actually force you to do things you wouldn't normally do.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, one of the best demonstrations of hypnotism I ever saw was it were a live audience kind of thing. It were on TV, and they'd got this guy to believe his wife didn't exist,
Oh
and
wow.
he couldn't see her sat
Yeah.
next to him, and they were bringing bloody objects of her and holding them to her back, and he could see
Oh,
everything.
I've seen something. I think I've seen that one.
Yeah. He was
Wow.
telling her,
And he thought they were
Time.
floating in midair.
yeah, and he just couldn't see her, but he could see things through her, and I thought that was very interesting. Very.
Mm.
If it weren't staged, if that were real, then there's a lot of questions around that.
Yeah. See, that is what worries me about hypnotism, why I wouldn't want to do it. And it's like with regressive hypnotism as well. What ideas are they planting in your head while you're under? You know, are they actually prompting your imagination to take over more? So, you know, I do believe in reincarnation, I do. And I do believe, you know, like little kids in India who've never been hypnotized, and they explain that, you know, they talk about a life somewhere miles away, and they've taken them there, and everything they've said has proven to be true. You know, so I do believe in reincarnation because of that. But there's just this thing about hypnotism where when you're dabbling with the subconscious, there's too much of a chance of the suggestion to be placed there, as Andy's just demonstrated with that bloke who couldn't see, you know, he was convinced he couldn't see his wife.
Yeah, that's dodgy, isn't it? That's weird. That's weird, that.
Yeah. Have you ever considered doing it, Sam?
No, for the same reason that you mentioned, I just rather be in control of myself.
Yeah.
You know. I did see something similar to that. Do you know you get these evangelists and you know these healing evangelists, and they're pushing people down and they're falling like flies and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Didn't fully believe a lot of it. And one night there was a priest from South Africa in my neighbour's house, and my son was going through some medical problems. He has a hole in his heart.
Yeah.
So I says, Killian, will we go over here? Just, you know, I mean, like, it's better, you know. Oh, he says, but I don't believe in any of that stuff. I says, I know, but just
try it.
You know, just try it. I mean, like, I can't hurt, you know. So we went in anyway. We went upstairs, and there was these loads of people lying on the ground and that, and these people were dropping like flies. The man was putting their hands on the head. They were dropping like flies. Came to me anyway, and I felt he was doing a bit of a push. And then he just looked at me, and he just seen that there was a bit of resistance there.
Yeah.
But Killian said, this is bollocks, you know?
Yeah.
So he went up anyway, and next thing, the priest put the hands on the head. Next thing, he was out like a flipping light. He woke up 10 minutes later. You know, there's people there catching these people so that they wouldn't hurt themselves and that. Killian woke up and he says, how come I fell asleep here? Like, I says, do you not remember what happened? He says, what are you talking about? He says. And I'm going, what's going on here? Like,
and did it help, Sam? Or do you think it was hypnotic suggestion just getting them to fall over?
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. Did he touch him, any part of him where he could press on it? Because there's certain parts of the body you could touch or press, and it makes a person pass out. But it weren't like that. It was just, was it just touching?
I don't know. I didn't say an awful lot. I just says, you know, do you know what happened? He says, no. Can we go home, Dad? This is a load of shit.
Mm-hmm.
So we went over to the house anyway. He says, do you not realise what happened over in that house? He said, what are you talking about? I seen people dropping like flies, but that's all bullshit.
And he didn't realise it had happened to him?
I says, do you not realise that you fell on the floor? And he says, yeah, I was wondering why I was lying on the floor like. But I don't remember anything.
Did he just put his hands on his head? Is that?
Yeah.
Did he actually touch him, or did he like hover?
Yeah.
No, he did touch him, like
Right.
he touched me.
Right.
There could be something to it, but there is some of these people that actually do push them, physically push them, and they look like they fell. It's kind of conditioning that person. Oh, it's the power of God, and this kind of thing, and
Did he
they get it in.
Did
Huh?
he fix his heart or anything?
His heart did actually seal up, and it reopened again.
Right.
And I don't know what this current situation is.
Yeah.
Do you know? But some of these, obviously some of these evangelists, they glorify themselves, and they're actually pushing people. And what they're doing is they're saying, you're under the power of the Holy Spirit, and the person that's receiving this thinks, it's so much in their mind that they'll just drop anyway because they're being suggested, and it's a suggested push. But I couldn't figure out this guy from South Africa.
This is the thing that makes me wonder, because if you watch a lot of these professional hypnotists, they don't nowadays. They don't sit there with a watch and waggle it backwards and forwards and say, watch the TikTok. They just talk to people, and then they go under. So I'm wondering, are these people just good at that? Are they passing some kind of hypnotic suggestion to them to fall over?
Yeah.
He did that with his wife, and he didn't get him to watch anything, did he? He just spoke to him.
Yeah, he just spoke to him,
And he got him to go under just by talking to him. He didn't get him to watch a metronome or a ticking clock or anything like that, or swing a pendulum in front of him. He literally just spoke to him, and then he went, and now you're under, and down flops the head.
Yeah.
And then he got him to do all sorts of wonderful and highly amusing things.
Jackie asked, "What did you feel, Sam?" It wasn't me. It wasn't me. All I felt was I was resisting this. I seen everybody falling like flies, and I says, "This isn't going to happen to me."
Mm-hmm.
Now, maybe I put up that much of a resistance that it didn't happen, but the priest looked at me and he just I think he knew that I was putting up a barrier, sort of thing. But I didn't feel anything. But my son, who's a complete and utter skeptic in a lot of things, including religion, he was out like a light. We couldn't wake him up for about 10 minutes.
Right. Patton Seago will give you an explanation here, and bloody Seago's put the big long word I've got to read. There's something called neuro-linguistic programming, which is definitely a real technique. Suggestions or ideas in other people's minds on a subconscious level. There you go.
Yeah.
And Pat mentioned it as well. That must be what NPL stands for. Was he saying the same thing to everybody, Sam, or was he varying what he said to them before they plonked over?
That I can't remember. I don't know.
Because from the ones I've seen, they always babble at them a lot before they actually do the fall over type thing. And I'm wondering, maybe it's that. Maybe it is neuro-linguistic stuff going on.
Yeah, but you see some of these evangelists and they're actually shouting at them. Like as if they were doing an exorcism. The power of, this kind of... Get away, get out, demon. There's all this roar and the pushing, and that could be the power of suggestion,
Yeah.
And maybe some of these people are afraid if they don't fall over, he's going to get even worse, with the shouting and stuff. So just pass out and just
just have to
get it over with, and then just wake up and
I feel so it is a typical James story. I heard a story about an hypnotist abroad, and he was putting women under and telling them they was in an off desert, and he got a cold ice lolly. Guess what the lolly was?
Yeah, I've heard that.
Seeing that's what makes me wonder about, can people actually convince you to that level that you do something that you wouldn't morally do any other time?
Hey, there's nobody saying we won't morally do it.
Yeah, but not with that person. So, that would be against your moral sort of thing. And yet it's saying, oh, when you're under, there's nothing we can, like they say, oh, we can't make it murder somebody. But the question is, can they? If they're good enough? Could they convince you that when you see a certain person, you think it's somebody who's attacking your child? And get to do it that way?
True.
Seago says, weird tasting lolly, this one.
What when they bite though? I mean, I'd bite eventually.
That's just too much information.
Yeah, the lolly. Freaking hell.
No wonder poor Lee always looks nervous.
I meant the lolly I would bite, Oh, no. I told you I'm a virgin. I am actually a virgin, okay?
She's a virgin on the ridiculous. With that statement.
Oh boy.
Seago says, plan backfired, abort, you're back in the room. When you got the lolly.
Oh my god.
But yeah, that is why I wouldn't want to be hypnotized, because something like that could happen. Because they have got people stripping off in front of hundreds of people, sort of thing, and most people wouldn't be comfortable doing that under their own violation. I don't care who that.
I'd be like, come on, let's go.
Yes, some people would, but when you've got a complete audience of people and he's got them up there and they're all doing it, not all of them are going to be that free doing it, but they do it anyway. And that is always my biggest worry with being hypnotized. And I'm always a bit skeptical about like I say, hypnotic regression. The only way I'd believe it was genuine was if you started coming out with facts,
right? Exactly.
That you needed to deep research before you could prove, sort of thing.
Yeah, well, that's it. I never really proved anything of what I saw or wrote like that. That's why I can't say it's an experience, but if you're remembering riding around on an horse chopping people's head off with an axe, you're probably going back to an era when they didn't keep records, so there's probably no way of proving that one way or the other. Yeah, well, it was an experience. It was an experience,
It'd be interesting to experience it in that respect, but it would be whatever else they'd be getting up to, sort of thing. Because dentists and all sorts taking advantage of people while they're under anaesthetic. There's nothing to stop an hypnotist doing it, is there?
No.
If your wink is hurting after you've been hypnotised, then you know something's gone wrong. Sharon says she's hypnotising everyone now because it's taken us all to the loo. Thanks for that, Sharon. I hope it's a number 1 and not a number 2 in that case. Oh, this chat's gone right downhill.
Yeah, but you see, there's some fae that are called Willie. I didn't know that. I don't remember Willies. I'd have remembered Willies. I don't remember that.
I'd remember Willies.
I remember.
Oh my god. Right, guys, I think we're going to wind this up now because we've been going well over 2 hours and I've got a really dry throat. So
remember, tomorrow night I'm going to draw a winner as well for that crystal ball and the card.
You're going to do it tonight, weren't you? You can do it now if you want to.
No, it's all right. I'll do it tomorrow, Brett.
All
It's
right,
all right.
keep on your screen then. Just don't do it too late, so I don't, I get tired and want to go to bed. But yeah, I'd like to thank everybody for coming on again. I'd like to thank Andy, Claire, and Sam. I'd like to thank everybody in the chat and thank everybody who's took out a membership tonight on the channel. Thank you very much. What I'm going to put it to the money to, and I'll tell you all now, is I want to get a gimbal for my phone for when we go out doing investigations. So all the money I get is going to be put towards that. It will be spent on the channel and not on me as such. Even though it's for me, the gimbal, but you know what I mean. So thank you all again, and we will see you. Can't do Sunday because I'm actually doing an interview on another channel somewhere. As long as it still goes on, a new channel that's just started called Paranormal in History, I believe. So if that comes up, I'll send a notice out so people can come and watch that if they want to.
Please.
Thank everybody on the panel, and if you stay on panel when we go off, we'll have a quick chat. So thank you all, and we'll see you all probably next Friday, maybe just before. So good night, everybody.
Thank you. Bye.
Say night, Claire.
Good night.
Night all.